knows every shadow like a lover's name. Her steps a rhythm, a deadly game. Fingers chase the edge of time. She rewrites the world, one line at a time.
Chapter 3. The Strike Inside Delhi. 3:04 a.m. The storm had turned feral. Rain slammed against the city as though the sky itself sought vengeance. Thunder fractured the night into flashes and silences, every lightning strike illuminating the sharp skeletons of satellite towers standing watch over Delhi's sleeping skyline. Their beacons blinked in rhythm, slow, red, and relentless, matching the pace of Ananya Rao's heartbeat. Inside Ra's transmission compound, the air buzzed with the fragile hum of a nation's pulse. The sound was constant, but to Ananya it no longer felt reassuring. It sounded like the breath of a dying system, steady but desperate. Here, hidden beneath the storm, India's power grid, a machine that fed 1.4 billion lives, throbbed, alive, vulnerable, bleeding. Ananya's fingers flew across her keyboard, bare, lightning fast, blurring into motion that no thought could keep up with. Her hands moved with purpose, burned into them by years of training, more instinct than intellect, muscle replacing fear. Click, enter, command. Lines of code pulsed across the screen, white text streaming through darkness like tracer rounds in a night sky. Each command she entered was a counterstrike, each keystroke a weapon. The monitor's glow sliced the air, lighting her face in blue-white angles. Sweat traced the curve of her temple. Even in the air-conditioned chill that made the control room feel like a sarcophagus of steel and frost, across from her, on a secondary screen, Rajiv's program unfolded like a virus with predatory grace, splitting and duplicating across Ra's networks with mechanical hunger. The infection sought the backup servers now, spreading through permissions, rewriting security, bypassing logic. Elegant, she realized bitterly. Fast, almost perfect. Perfection was something Rajiv Sharma had always chased and achieved before he turned, before he crossed that final line. Vikram, power isolation line. Her voice cracked through the roar of rain and humming machinery. Vikram didn't hesitate. He lunged toward the industrial cutoff lever, a piece of tech forged for emergencies exactly like this one, though no one had ever dared imagine such a scenario inside Ra's own headquarters. He pulled it, hard. The overhead lights died with a sigh. For a long heartbeat, darkness reigned. Then the red floodlights activated, painting the control lock in a grim, pulsing glow. Red like rage, red like alarm, red like blood spilled inside a sanctum. Vikram glanced at her, voice steady, the calm of a man who'd stared into chaos before. Backup loop sealed. You've got 10 minutes before the system restarts. Ananya didn't waste a single breath replying. 10 minutes, she murmured. Eyes already scanning the code. Then let's make history in 9. Her screen bled cascading data. Code flew faster. The storm outside became an echo of the one unfolding between her fingertips. The air conditioning was silent now. The room began to grow cold. Her breath fogged faintly, the same rhythm as the rain hammering against the steel roof above. Somewhere, the deep throb of the auxiliary generator moaned in warning. The sound reverberated through her bones, merging with the storm like some ancient mechanical pulse. Then, a flicker. Her system paused. Once, twice, a single line of text appeared in Marathi. Process override initiated from internal node. Ananya went still. Every nerve in her body froze. Her voice was barely a whisper. Vikram, it's coming from inside Ra. Vikram's hand instinctively dropped to the Glock holstered at his waist. Who? She didn't answer. Her fingers were already moving again, tracing paths back through encrypted tunnels. Through layers she herself had once built, deeper than ordinary clearance allowed. The trail led upward, into Sector 7. Her pulse kicked. Sector 7. Ra's cyber heart. Their most secure environment. The one place infiltration should be impossible. Her face paled. Someone cloned my authentication key, she said, barely audible. They're feeding Rajiv's code through our own systems. Vikram's brow furrowed. Meaning? Her gaze met his. It means Ra is installing the virus themselves. She paused, words breaking between breaths. We're not fighting outsiders anymore. Vikram, we're fighting ghosts inside the house. Silence. Even the storm seemed to hold its breath. Then, motion. The two of them burst out into the corridor, weapons drawn. Ananya's cig felt heavier than it should have, the chill of the metal radiating through her palm. The walls reverberated faintly with the hum of the storm, and something else, the faint electric tension of a building turned traitor. The overhead flicker of dying lights stuttered against red emergency glow, throwing jagged shadows across the narrow passage. Water dripped from the ceiling, rhythmic and mocking. Who else knows we're here? She demanded. Only Comet. Vikram replied, scanning corners, every sense sharpened. He said lockdown. No one in or out. Lightning flashed at the far end of the corridor, silver daggers slicing rain against glass. The thunder followed like artillery, rolling through the structure with cathedral-deep vibration. They reached the stairwell. There, slumped near the railing, a security officer, unconscious, blood at his temple. His comms device shattered beside him, fragments glittering like broken code. Vikram crouched, fingers pressing to the man's neck. Alive. Then, his eyes narrowed at the floor. A small metallic object blinked faintly beside the guard's boot. Motion beacon. Active. Military issue, he growled. Top-tier tracking. They've had us marked since we entered the complex. Ananya felt the weight of it sink through her. That sinking awareness that control was an illusion, that every step she'd taken had already been calculated by someone else. We move, she said coldly. No point hiding if they're already watching. They ascended. Every floor higher made the air taste more charged, more wrong. The sterile smell of electronics had soured into something acrid, burned hardware, death of circuits. They reached the top landing. Movement. Two silhouettes ahead. Guard suits. Visors opaque. Rifles steady. Not guards. Soldiers. Vikram reacted first. His weapon boomed twice, muzzle flash flaring orange bright against the dark. The men dove for cover. One round slammed inches from Ananya's head, shards of plaster stinging her cheek. She rolled and returned fire, her cig roaring back in sharp precision. Gunfire echoed down the corridor, sharp, metallic, deafening. Casings clattered like rain. Cordite, smoke, adrenaline. One of the attackers went down, hit in the leg. The other vanished into the labyrinth of adjoining corridors. Vikram's breathing slowed into control. Friendly uniforms, hostile hands. Ananya checked the fallen man, his weapon, his pockets. High-grade tactical rifle, its serials melted off. This wasn't raw issue. Private contractors, she said grimly. Not patriots, assassins for hire. Vikram nodded once, grim recognition dawning. Then this isn't about sabotage. No, she murmured, eyes narrowing. This is the start of a coup. They reached the sealed glass doors of Sector 7. The room beyond pulsed with an eerie blue radiance, the glow of 1,000 processing units thrumming in unison. Cold mist coiled from the server racks, the air heavy with refrigerant chill. Every machine blinked in rhythmic harmony, a strange, mechanical heartbeat that almost seemed alive. As they entered, her breath came in pale clouds. She scanned the terminals, each one showing the same screen, a single word repeating across monitors like prayer beads for the damned. Updating. Again, updating. Over and over, the same word echoing through the lab's silence like a digital mantra, mocking, rhythmic, infinite. Ananya's heart clenched. They weren't preventing Rajiv's code anymore. They were already inside it, and the system wasn't fighting back. It was obeying. The servers blinked like 1,000 sleepless eyes around them, whispering in mechanical rhythm. And in that cold, humming heart of India's cyber command, Ananya Rao's worst fear was confirmed. Her voice trembled only slightly as she spoke. Rajiv's patch just replicated across the entire agency network. Every secure system, every backup, every channel. If they achieve full penetration, She looked up from the screen, jaw tight. Raw goes dark, or worse, becomes theirs. Vikram's gaze swept the room, rows of blinking towers, the living circuitry of India's intelligence agency. Servers that had once felt like armor now looked like cages. He said it flatly, voice low and grim. "Can you kill it?" Ananya nodded once. "Yes, but I'll have to pull a manual wipe. A physical burn of infected sectors. Every unit will crash. The whole network blind for at least an hour." Vikram's eyes narrowed to razor slits. "Do it." Without another word, she dropped to her knees beside the master conduit, pried open a maintenance hatch, and began rerouting the system manually, hot-wiring the backup nodes into a lethal feedback circuit. Wires sparked, fuses hissed. The air thickened with the acrid tang of burning silicon. The smell of war in the digital age. Copper, ozone, and betrayal. Warning alarms chirped overhead. Small, frantic voices protesting what she was doing. But Ananya's hands were faster than hesitation. This was survival now, not protocol. "Are you sure this won't fry everything?" Vikram asked, half warning, half admiration. She gave no answer. Her silence was its own confession. Then, hiss. The pneumatic sweep of a heavy door opening behind them. 3 men entered. Calm, controlled, predatory. The one at the front carried a tablet glowing the deep institutional blue of Raw's security division. Its light lit his face, a mask of composure and command. "That won't be necessary, Agent Rao." The voice froze her hands mid-motion. That voice, precise, deliberate, faintly colored by Bangalore beneath its English smoothness. She turned. Arvind Menon. Standing there, immaculate in his pressed uniform, silver hair in perfect order, posture flawless, was the man who had once been her mentor, her teacher, her measure of mastery and discipline. "Step away from that console," he said evenly, as though speaking in a classroom. "You don't understand what you're interfering with." The 2 guards flanking him moved with quiet economy, their rifles down but ready, like wolves waiting for a single command. Vikram's stance shifted, weight balanced, gun still holstered but ready to clear leather in a heartbeat. Ananya straightened slowly, meeting Menon's calm gaze with molten anger. "You're supposed to be in Cyber Command," she said, her voice low. "Barely leashed. Not leading an armed mutiny." He smiled faintly, an expression of intellectual victory, not joy. "Command is exactly what I'm doing. When orders stagnate, command acts. Bureaucrats hesitate, and nations crumble. I fix them." She glared. "You're running phase 1. I'm fulfilling it." His tone was measured, academic, chilling in its composure. The Americans understood decades ago. The real wars aren't fought with armies, but algorithms. The Chinese perfected it. We simply adapt. Infrastructure, communications, satellites. These are the new front lines. "You sold out India's systems to foreign handlers," she spat, emotion breaking past restraint. "Everything we built, everything we swore to protect." He tilted his head slightly. "Partners, my dear. Stability through strength. The West offers efficiency where democracy offers noise. In exchange for access, we receive protection from China, from economic isolation, from obsolescence." His explanation was clinical, as though reading a research paper on betrayal. Vikram's voice cut through, sharp as the edge of a blade. "You call this stability, crippling a nation's grid and stealing its sovereignty?" Menon's smile thinned to cruelty. "Controlled collapse breeds order, Agent Vikram. Chaos inspires fear. Fear invites control. Step 1, remove uncertainty. Step 2, offer salvation. Step 3, rule the ashes." Ananya's pulse hammered in her temples. "You picked the wrong programmer to steal from." Menon's chuckle was soft, crystalline. "And you picked the wrong mentor to trust. I taught you how to see patterns, anticipate moves. You became the perfect student. That's why this has to end here." A single flick of his hand. Take them alive. The world detonated. Gunfire, shattered screens, exploding glass. Vikram grabbed her shoulder and pulled her down, dragging her beneath the console as a hail of bullets chewed through monitors overhead. Plastic shrapnel rained over them. Sounds slowed to chaos, each muzzle flash slicing the crimson-lit air like lightning frozen in time. Ananya rolled, drawing her sig with muscle memory older than fear. She fired twice through the smoke. Bang, bang. Two men dropped, one screaming, one falling silent. Menon ducked behind a rack of servers, returning fire. The air was thick with cordite and burning insulation. Her portable drive slipped from her pocket. She caught it mid-fall. The failsafe, her personal override. She slammed it into the mainframe port beneath the console, her fingers moving faster than she could think. Her backup countervirus began to upload, crawling across the screen. 30 seconds, she shouted. Vikram covered the exit, firing short, controlled bursts. A bullet caught him in the arm, flesh tearing, jacket ripped. He grunted, but kept firing. You okay? She yelled. Fine, teeth clenched. Just finish it. Menon moved again, swift for his age, pistol raised in both hands. Aimed at her chest. She whipped the laptop cover up just as he fired. Crack! The round punched through the screen. Sparks cascaded like rain. The explosion of light blinded the room, just as her progress bar hit 100%. A surge of white consumed every monitor. Sirens howled. The system's synthetic voice overrided everything. System lockdown. Control restored to primary grid. Unauthorized access terminated. Quarantine initiated. One by one, the towers went white hot. Cooling fans revving in mechanical agony. Menon turned, to disbelief, then fury. His calm composure fractured. This doesn't end here, Rao. You've only delayed it. Phase 2 is already. Bang! Vikram's shot cut him short. The bullet tore through Menon's shoulder, spinning him back against the consoles. Blood splashed across the glass. His crisp, perfect uniform finally humanized by crimson. His expression twisted, not pain, but pure hatred. Then the alarms kicked in, real ones this time. Emergency security breach tones echoed everywhere. Reinforcements incoming. Ananya was already moving. She yanked her drive from the console, grabbed Vikram's injured arm, and pulled him toward the exit. We've got 6 minutes before the real agents flood the building, she shouted. They'll shoot first, question later, Vikram said through gritted teeth. Then we disappear. They plunged into the maintenance tunnels beneath Sector 7, concrete, dripping, cold, a hidden artery of the building few remembered existed. Overhead, the sound of alarms and booted feet reverberated through the floors. Behind them, the war they just survived still screamed through dying circuits. Vikram wrapped his wounded arm with torn fabric from his sleeve, face pale but jaw set. Blood mixed with sweat, leaving a trail behind them across damp concrete. They emerged at last into a service alley behind the Ministry of Telecommunications. The storm had stopped. The world above seemed washed clean, glittering faintly under the weak dawn. Both paused for breath, the adrenaline shaking loose like electricity from their limbs. Safe house? Vikram asked, voice hoarse. Ananya shook her head, scanning every shadow. Burned. If Menon's turned, then Comet might be too. Everyone we trust is suspect now. Vikram grimaced. He saved your career after Bangalore. She smiled faintly, sadly. He might save himself now by giving me up. You taught me one thing that was true. Vikram, loyalty ends where self-preservation begins. She spotted a row of parked scooters, civilian, unregistered. Perfect. They moved quickly, quietly. She ripped open one's ignition panel, hot-wired the wires with quick precision. The engine coughed to life. They sped into the gray horizon, two shadows against the pulse of a city too vast to notice, too blind to see two ghosts vanishing at dawn. Behind them, Delhi awakened. One district after another flickered back to life, the grid stabilizing, servers rebooting, systems returning. Lights swept across the sleeping capital, like the tide reclaiming a battered shore. But beneath that fragile illumination, lies and wars still moved unseen. Phase 1 was over. Phase 2 had begun. And Ananya Rao, soaked in blood and rain, riding into an uncertain sunrise, knew this war had only just found its true battlefield. 4:56 a.m. Yamuna Riverbank, Delhi. The city was asleep, but the river was awake, its black surface rippling under the faint bruises of dawn. The storm had passed, weaving behind a scent of wet soil and ozone. In the dim light, Ananya and Vikram pulled up to an abandoned warehouse, a raw fallback site, buried under years of bureaucratic neglect. Even in silence, the place felt haunted, its air heavy with dust and secrets. Inside, rows of obsolete crates sat like coffins, stamped with designations from missions the world had long forgotten. The smell of paper decay and rusted electronics mingled into something that whispered classified. Ananya dragged an old portable transmitter onto a rusted metal desk. every screw in it groaning from disuse. Vikram hovered near the half-open shutters, his injury stiffening with every heartbeat, his eyes scanning the empty lot outside. She connected her drive. Sparks danced briefly, then the monitors sputtered to life. Lines of encrypted data began to flow upward, bright symbols leaking truth across invisible lines of code, truth she could never take back. This wasn't just a transmission. It was confession. Insurance. Destination secure? Vikram asked, the strain in his voice betraying both blood loss and exhaustion. It'll land in Iceland, Ananya said, fingers never leaving the keys. Triple T encryption, deadman protocol embedded. If they erase this, it goes public automatically. Her voice was steel wrapped in fatigue. Scorched earth, Vikram. They won't bury us quietly. He nodded once, as if accepting a death sentence. What now? We make Menon's betrayal public, she said flatly, watching the progress bar crawl upward in mocking slowness. 90%. Still moving. Vikram's brow furrowed. That kills your cover. Kills everything. Ananya turned slowly, her eyes catching the dim light. There was no fear left there, only conviction. If truth dies, the country follows. Raw was built to protect India, not sell it to the highest bidder. I joined to defend, not obey. Then, a noise, faint, mechanical, tires on gravel. They froze. Vikram peered through the shutters. His face tightened. 2 SUVs. Agency plates, Black Fleet. Ananya closed the laptop in an instant. 93%. It would have to do. She chambered a bullet with a soft, ruthless sound. Movers or men? Men, Vikram said, eyes still at the slit in the shutters. 8, maybe 10. They're not coming to arrest us. The next sound was the crash of steel hinges tearing loose. The side door burst open in a wave of gray. Metallic canisters rolled across the floor. Smoke grenades. The hiss was instantaneous, the room flooding with choking clouds that scalded eyes and throats. Flash team, Vikram coughed. Cover your... The stun grenade detonated mid-sentence. Ananya's hearing imploded. One moment sound, the next an ocean of static. Her pulse became her only rhythm. The world burned white. When her vision returned, shadows were moving through the fog, ghosts with rifles, precise and methodical. Thermal goggles glowed faint green through the smoke. Bullets tore through wood and history alike. Old crates splintered. Forgotten tech exploded under impact. Ananya dropped into a low crouch behind metal storage, her cig barking in return. Each shot guided not by sight but instinct. Breathe, fire, move. She hit one. The second came from the right, silent as vapor. Vikram met him head-on, his knife snapping free from its sheath. 2 movements, 1 thrust. The blade found the narrow seam in the man's vest. He dropped soundlessly, his weight thudding against the concrete. Exit, north wall, Ananya shouted. They ran, through smoke, through noise, through death. Glass shattered as they dove through a window, hitting gravel hard, rolling through mud and broken glass. Their lungs drank the icy morning like salvation. The river shimmered ahead, wide, cold, indifferent. Behind them, automatic fire erupted in bursts. The ground spat sparks around their feet. Down by the docks, 2 workers loaded morning cargo onto a small diesel boat, unaware that the secrets of the nation were about to board their vessel. Ananya gave Vikram a look, one that said everything. Run. Jump. Don't think. They sprinted as bullets tore the air behind them. They jumped as one. The deck hit back hard. Her ankles screamed. Vikram's wounded arm slammed the railing, pain flaring, but they were on board, alive, moving. The dockhands froze in shock until Vikram shoved a wad of cash into one's trembling hands. You saw nothing. Ananya crouched low, cradling her jacket pocket. The portable drive, still there. She exhaled shakily, the upload complete seconds before chaos had erupted. Somewhere under layers of ice and encryption, their truth lived, their last defense. The boat's old motor groaned to life, coughing smoke. Behind them, black SUVs screeched to a stop by the dock. Gunfire followed immediately, rounds carving fountains in the dark river. Vikram throttled full speed. The city's edge blurred into morning haze. Watched Delhi recede into smoke, each building a silhouette of both victory and failure. Her voice broke through the roar of the engine. South, Chennai. Vikram barely glanced back. Why? Secure hub. Military-grade lines. Someone there owes me a favor. We'll push the data from there. Rajiv? Gone to Pakistan, she said, her tone flat. But once Menon's network falls, he'll come crawling. Betrayal is his only constant. And Menon? Ananya stared at the rising sun, its brilliant red light washing the river in copper flame. He's not done. Phase 1 was just distraction. Phase 2. She trailed off. Phase 2 will blindside us all. 12 hours later. Raw Interim Operations Center, New Delhi. Director Kamat sat alone in his office, the air stale with fatigue and regret. The lights were too bright, the silence too loud. The screens in front of him, bled reports, endless columns of damage assessment, internal grid stabilized, security breach contained, data leak to offshore node confirmed, agents R. Vikram and A. Rao missing, Deputy Director Menon hospitalized under guard. He rubbed his forehead, eyes dull with sleeplessness. On his desk, a cup of untouched coffee had developed a paper-thin layer of oil on top, a small symbol of decay. Beneath the static of muted alarms, he replayed the footage again. Same moments, same absence. Menon's body gone for exactly 43 minutes after the firefight. No blood trail, no prints, nothing but static where the camera should have been. Inside job, perfectly executed. On the lab's server wall, someone, Menon, maybe had carved 3 words into the paint with something sharp. The letters were uneven, ragged, desperate. Code of deception. Phase 2. Kamat leaned back, the old chair sighing under his weight. He thought of Ananya, the prodigy from Cambridge, the daughter he never had, the one he'd recruited, trained, and trusted beyond reason. And Menon, the brilliant soldier of the cyber age who'd once been his closest ally, now branded a traitor, perhaps still a ghost within his own system. 2 of Raw's brightest, 1 claim of loyalty, 1 of betrayal, and only one could be telling the truth. His phone vibrated on the desk, cutting through the tension. A message from the Prime Minister's office. Briefing. Tomorrow, 0600. Bring solutions, not excuses. He turned the phone face down and sank into silence. When had the lines blurred so badly between protection and corruption? Between patriotism and control? Outside his window, the dawn washed Delhi in dull gold. Peaceful. Deceptively peaceful. Meanwhile, Karachi. Pakistan. A small apartment. Dark curtains. Heat smoldering beyond the walls. Rajiv Sharma sat before 3 monitors glowing with shifting patterns of code. The air smelled of cheap curry, solder, and stale tea. His phone buzzed once. A single encrypted message flashed green. Phase 1 failed. Proceed anyway. Timeline accelerated. Rajiv smiled faintly. The smile of a man who'd factored failure into the plan all along. Yes, Ananya had blocked the takeover. But in doing so, she had given him what he needed. Division. Raw fractured. Trust broken. India destabilized from the inside. Sometimes, losing a battle was victory in disguise. He cracked his knuckles and began typing again, the rhythm spotless, confident. Infinite lines of new code crossing the screen like veins. Phase 2 initialized. Outside, Karachi pulsed with the call to prayer, its sound echoing through streets that had forgotten their innocence. Rajiv barely heard it. He was composing something far holier in his own mind. A weapon without smoke or shrapnel. One that could collapse nations without firing a bullet. He paused, and then he smiled again. Cold, inevitable. The cursor blinked once. Then again. Phase 2. Active. Countdown commenced.
Her eyes burn cold, her touch ignites. She's the heartbeat in the day.